Hello, my dear students. In our last lecture, in our last online session, we have learned different topics in our DBMS, applications of DBMS, then what is the definition of DBMS, what is database. These concepts we have learned in our previous video, and today we are going to learn our new topic here, the characteristics of database or characteristics of DBMS. Okay, and in these types of characteristics, how we can use their functionalities, their use into our database. Okay, see here there are different types of characteristics like as a real world entity, then relational based tables, okay, then isolation of data and applications, then then less redundancy, okay, then consistency. What is the exact consistency we can use in our DBMS? Okay, we have to learn these concepts, these things in our characteristics of DBMS. Then query language, what is the query language? Then ACID properties, okay, then multi-user and concurrent access. These are the related characteristics of DBMS, and we have to learn here in this session what are the characteristics and how we can use at the time of store our database, to access our database, and to perform different kinds of operations in our database. Okay, it means these are the characteristics provided by a DBMS. See here, we will be see one by one what are these characteristics and how we can implement, how we can access, use these characteristics in our DBMS, it means in our database. Okay, then see here what are these characteristics. Okay, then traditionally data was organized in a file format. Okay, file format, it means there is a tabular format. In that tabular format we are storing our data in a rows and columns. Okay, then DBMS was a new concept, then all the research was done make it overcome the deficiencies in a traditional style data management. A modern DBMS has the following characteristics. Okay, it means in our previous databases are different, and in our day-to-day life, on in our this modern technology we are using DBMS. It means a database management system, and in that database management system we are going to use different types of characteristics, and how these characteristics we can use in our database. It means what are these functionalities we can use in our database. Okay, what are the characteristics? Okay, and these characteristics we can use, we can implement in our database. Then first one is here the real world entities. Real world entity, what is in by real world entity? See here, a modern DBMS is more realistic and user real world entities to design its architecture. Okay, a real world entity, it means whenever the we are using that these kinds of characteristics, in that characteristics actually we are using the modern DBMS. It means what are the entities is there, and what are the exact design of that architecture. It means we can create the exact architecture of that DBMS modern. Okay, and then see here it uses the behavior and attributes too. Okay, it means whatever the design is there, whatever the architecture is there, in that architecture we can define or we can use what are their behaviors and attributes. Attributes, it means sub components or subtypes of that field or that data. Okay, then see here, here is a one example. In that example, okay, a school, okay, a school database may use student as an entity and their age as an attribute. Okay, see here, if we are going to store our school record, in that school record, it means school, in that school database. Okay, we can use student as an entity. It means student name is entity name. Okay, and in that student, okay, in that student entity we can use the age field or age attribute we can use as a we can say attribute. It means entity we have used a student. In that student we have used the age attribute. Age attribute. Okay, it means we have to understand here, we are going to learn what are the attributes, what are the keys, what are the entities. Okay, we are going to learn in our next sessions, but here we have to just understand what is the example. Okay, and in that example how we are describing what are the entities, and in that entity what is the attribute. It means student is an entity. Okay, and age is the attribute of that student entity. Okay, then see here the next one, what is the relation based tables. Okay, see here, in DBMS allows entities and relations among them to form a tables. Okay, in that entities we can form different kinds of tables. It means we can organize our data in our tabular format or table format. It means in our rows and columns. Okay, then see here, a user can understand the architecture of database just by looking at the table names. Okay, it means whenever we are storing our data in our table format. Okay, whenever we are looking their names. Okay, whatever the architecture we have used and what are the names of that table, through that tables we can identify and understand what is the data has stored in that database or in that records. Okay, it will be easy to identify. Okay, whenever we are looking the exact name of these tables. Okay, that's why we are using here relation based tables. Okay, it means these tables are related to each other and their relation is based on their names. Okay, that's why we are calling as a relation based tables. Okay, then see here the next one is the isolation of data and applications. What is in the isolation in our database and the application. Okay, see here, a database system is entirely different than its data. Okay, see here, and database is an active entity, whereas data said to be a passive on which the database works and organizes. Okay, it means whenever the system is there, in that system database system is there, in that system we are using different activities, different data. Okay, and in that database we have to define the what is the active entities there. Okay, and what are the passive entities there. Okay, and in that database, in that way we have to organize our data. It means we can say the isolation of data and application. It means whenever we are adding that data in a different data. Okay, and these database are active entity, and these databases, in that way we can organize and work these database or these records in our DBMS. Okay, then see here, DBMS also store metadata. Okay, metadata, it means data about data. Whenever we are storing, that time we are calling as a metadata. Okay, then see here, which is a data about data is to a one process. Okay, it means whenever we are saying metadata, that time we are store or we are access data about data, that time we are saying okay metadata. Okay, then what is the next one? See here, the less redundancy. It means in that less redundancy stands for what are the repetitions occurred in our database, what are the duplications occurred in our database. These duplications, these we can say the repetitions. Okay, and these kinds of records, whenever we want to reduce or remove, that time we can use the less redundancy, or we can say that DBMS is providing these kinds of characteristics to reduce the redundancy in our database. Okay, then see here, DBMS follows the rules normalization. Actually the concept is here normalization. What is the normalization? It means we are reducing our repetitions, then duplications. Okay, and for that purpose we are using the normalization concept. It means whenever the we are using normalization, in that normalization or in that database, whenever the we are using normalization, that time we are avoiding or we are removing the repetitions, okay, repetitions, duplications in our database. Okay, that's why we are calling as a redundancy. Okay, then see here which splits relation when any of attribute is having redundancy values. Okay, sometimes in our database some values will be occurred again and again, and in a duplications and repetitions. Okay, that time these values we can avoid, we can remove from our database or in our records. Okay, then see here normalization is a mathematically rich and scientific process that reduce data redundancy. Okay, exact concept of normalization perfectly used to avoid the redundancy. Okay, it means normalization, whenever we are using normalization, is a mathematically rich and scientific process. Okay, and in that process actually we are reducing the redundancies. Okay, redundancies, it means repetitions and duplications of records, and whenever we want to remove these duplications and repetitions in our database, that time we have to use normalization. Okay, that's why we are saying the raise less redundancy of DBMS characteristics. Okay, then see here consistency. What is meant by consistency? In our consistency, okay, a consistency is a state where every relation in a database remains consistent. Okay, it means whenever we are creating a relation in our database, in that relation there is a consistency. Okay, our record will be stored in a consistent manner. Okay, it means that there is a consistency in our database. Okay, in that relations, okay, there exist method and techniques. Okay, in that relations there is a some we can say a few methods and then techniques. Okay, and which can detect attempt of living database in a inconsistent state. Okay, whenever we are attempt whenever we are detect the attempt of living database in a inconsistent state. Okay, a DBMS can provide greater consistency as compared to earlier form of data storing applications like as a file processing system. Okay, file processing system is a different system as compared to a DBMS. Okay, whenever we are discussing two concepts here, DBMS and file processing. Okay, it means file system is a different and DBMS is a different. In that way, whenever we are providing the greater consistency, okay, as compared to the earlier form of data storing applications, it means a file processor file system. Okay, it means we can use this type of consistency in our DBMS. Okay, it means this is a one type of best characteristics of DBMS. Whenever we are storing our data, that time we can use these kinds of operations or these kinds of characteristics in our database. Then see here, next one is a query language. What is in my query language? In that query language, see here, DBMS is equipped with query language, which makes it more efficient to retrieve and manipulate data. Okay, what is in the retrieving data or manipulate data? Retrieve, it means whenever the data is already stored in our database, in that data we are accessing. Okay, whenever we are accessing that record, that time we are saying we are retrieving that data. Okay, retrieving, it means accessing that data. Okay, and then manipulating, it means we are managing that, we are storing in a well structure. Okay, it means whenever we are accessing that record, that time we can use different languages like as a query languages. Okay, it means we have to use query languages. Okay, then see here, a user can apply as many and as a different filtering options as are required to retrieve a set of data. Whenever the user, okay, whenever the user wants to apply the different filtering options, okay, it means we can use different filtering options in our database. Okay, and that time it will be required to retrieve a set of data. Okay, whenever we want to use the filter, whenever we want to use filtering options in our database, that time we have to use, or we have to require the retrieve that set of data. Okay, and then traditionally it was not a possible where file processing system was used. Okay, and there was not possible where file processing system was used. Okay, it will be depends on that record. Whenever we are using that query language, that time how we can use that query language in our DBMS. Okay, and what are their process and their how we are using the query language. Okay, and what is the exact by using these query. Okay, how we can perform different operations. Okay, then see here ACID properties. Okay, what is it by ACID? Okay, what is ACID full form? Then see here DBMS follows the concept. Okay, concept of atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Okay, that's why we are saying as a ACID. A stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Okay, then normally shortened as ACID. Okay, then see here these concepts are applied on transaction which manipulate data in a database. Okay, we can use ACID properties or ACID concept when we can use whenever uh, the transaction is there, whenever we wants to manipulate that data, that time we can use ACID. It means atomicity, consistency, isolation. Okay, and isolation and durability when we can use whenever we want to whenever we want to perform transactions, whenever we want to manipulate our data. Okay, you see here ACID properties. ACID properties help the database stay healthy in multi-transactional environments and in case of failures. Okay, it will be a depends on that record. Whenever we are using ACID properties, okay, that time helps the database stay healthy in a multiple transaction environment. Okay, whenever we are using ACID, that time we can stay our record in a multi-transactional environment. Okay, and it will be some case it will be a failure. Okay, then see here is the last one, the last characteristics of DBMS. What is the last one is multi-user and concurrent access. What is the multi-user? Multi-user, it means multiple users can use that records simultaneously or same time. Okay, and then concurrent access, it means instantly we can access these kinds of database. Okay, whenever the users need. Okay, then see here DBMS supports multi-user environment and allows them to access and manipulate data in a parallel. Okay, in parallel. Okay, then see here it means whenever we are using multi-user environment, and it will be allows them access and manipulate data in a parallel. Parallel, it means the same way. Okay, at the same time we can use multiple users to manipulate that data. Okay, then see here there are restrictions on transactions when user attempts handle the same data items, but users are always unaware of them. Okay, unaware of them, it means whenever we want to use multiple users, okay, that time we can use the different restrictions transactions. Okay, restrictions on that transactions. Okay, and the user attempts handle some data then, but users always unaware of them. Then see here the next one is here multiple views. What is my multiple views? In that multiple views, device offers multiple views, different users. A user who is in the sales department will have different view database than person working in the production department. This feature enables users to have a concent concentrate view of the database according to their requirements. Okay, see here our DBMS, okay, offers multiple views to a different users. Okay, and then a user, okay, who is the sales department. Okay, it means in that record there are different records and different departments and different entities and attributes we are using in that record. See here is a sales department, okay, then there is a different view, okay, and then some persons working in a production department, okay, that time there is another one view, okay. This feature enables user the have concentrate view of the database according to the requirement. It means we can create the different views, okay, according to their requirements, okay. And last one is a security. What is in my security characteristics of DBMS? We are learning here the characteristics of DBMS. In that characteristics, okay, here is a security. In that security, features like a multiple view offer security to some extent where users are unable to access data other users department, okay. Whenever we are storing that record, that time we have to get the exact security from that database, okay. That is the security. It means no one can access, no one can update that data, no one can store that data, no one can open that data or access that data. These kinds of the security we have in our DBMS. Okay, DBMS offers methods to impose constant while entering data into database and retrieving the same at a later stage. Okay, it will be depends on their constants, okay, whenever we want to retrieve that data, whenever we want to use that data, okay. Then see here DBMS offer many different level security features which enables multiple users to have different views with different features, okay. We can create different views, different security level features, okay, and these multiple users can use the different types of views to their different features. It means we can use different types of security, different types of views in our database. See here is one example, okay. Try to understand the exact example of security, okay. A user in the sales department cannot see the data belong to the purchase department, okay. See here, it means whatever the person is there, salesperson is concerned to a sales department, that person or that user can't belongs or can't see the whatever the purchase department is there, whatever the record of purchase department, he can't see that whatever the information related to purchase department. It means no one can or sales department cannot access the record of purchase department or purchase department cannot access the sales department record. That is the security in our DBMS, okay. Then additionally, it can also be managed how much data of sales department should be displayed to the user, okay. It and we can manage, okay, how many data or how many departments we can display to the users, okay. Then see here, this is a one type of security, okay. And then since a DBMS is not a saved on the disk traditional file system, it is a very hard for miscreant, okay, to break the code, okay. It will be depend on that record what are the securities provided by that database, and in that database how we are using, how we are performing these kinds of operations in our database, okay. It means we can perform different operations. With that operations we can assign, we can provide the different kinds of securities, okay. And whatever we have learned, whatever we have discussed here, these are the characteristics of DBMS. And these characteristics, whenever we are storing our data, whenever we are creating our data, that time we can use these characteristics in our database. Characteristics, it means of features, okay. It's a types of DBMS we can say. It means, and these characteristics we can use in our database or in our DBMS, okay, to perform different types of kinds of operations. And by using these operations, we can store our data, we can access our data, okay, with different characteristics, okay. That's all about characteristics of DBMS, okay. Thank you.